Valentine's Day tissue treat for the tush. According to poet laureate of yore Alfred Tennyson in his Locksley Hall, spring is when a young man's fancy lightly turns to thoughts of love, and pre-spring is when a young woman's fancy lightly turns to thoughts of Valentine's Day. Well, actually, Locksley Hall didn't have any mention of Valentine's Day, but the whole thing does roll off the tongue quite eloquently. Saint Valentine's Day. All things love, all things sweet, and all things red. Red roses, red candy boxes, red sweater-clad teddy bears, and the one thing red for which many women lament not receiving year after disappointing year is, you guessed it, red toilet paper. Nothing says love is in the air with greater romantic clarity than a full spool of fire engine red tissue paper glaring at you attractively from less than an arm's length away. Ah yes, although other more familiar scents will be in the air too, the mere sight and specter of this ruby red roll will dominate thought and set the table of romance. For some historical perspective, the tissue paper concept took root back in 6th century AD China, with mass production coming in about the 14th century. And while it's unknown at this writing exactly when red tissue paper was invented and enshrined into the great historical pantheon of romance, it's no accident that great romantic writings of well-knowns like Austen, the Brontes, Charlotte and Emily, Robert Burns, and Lord Byron all came after the magnificent and marvelous invention of the illustrious and glorious T.P. Oh, what great sadness and sorrow of thee, woman, having to endure without relent the nigh unbearable indignity of Valentine's Day that cometh and then goeth without number, each leaving its singular mark on the deepest recesses of thy heart, each with its own memory of another year gone without receiving the coveted crimson paper for thy spool, the stark white two-ply staring mockingly at thee, piercing thy anguish and pain. Oh, what great sadness! But cheer up. This article is the light at the end of your tunnel of TP iniquity, for it is through this brief writing that you may finally receive, on this coming Valentine's Day, the gift of the great red hope. This year, resolve not to wait for one closest to you to gift your lowly spool. This year, choose not to set your annual date with disappointment and sit again in solemnity and sadness on the throne of waste, wondering what might have been. Make a bold move and secure for yourself your very own roll of the regal red. Take romance of this special day to the max and gift your glorious glutes with El Papel Rojo. With the red heart-shaped candy box, red sweater-wearing teddy bear, red roses, and red-hot cottony soft TP waiting to do its job, there remains just two things to permanently enshrine this Valentine's Day on the landscape of one of the most memorable ever. Number 1, soft music. Although using the smartphone and buds are way more convenient, run a speaker from the house sound system to the bathroom. For obvious reasons, cell phones have been shown to have 18 times more bacteria than the average toilet seat. So treat your toilet like Vegas. What happens there stays there. Besides, walking away from a toilet with something in your hand that you're going to put up to your mouth and in your ear is probably not a good idea. Number 2, rose petals in the bowl. Ah, yes. This one-day tribute to all things love is not complete without a smattering of rose petals swirling colorfully in the cool, clear waters below. Previously an exotic indulgence of Hollywood's esoteric elites, putting the petal to the porcelain is now a pleasure that can be enjoyed by the great masses, although only the most daring actually do it. The only caution here is not to sacrifice your gift bouquet, but to instead purchase 2 to 3 roses to be peeled for this memorable occasion. In all this excitement, it's entirely understandable if you momentarily forget that there's another very distinct purpose for a journey to the water closet, answering nature's lower calling. When completely enveloped in the rapture of romance that this day promises, it's easy to neglect our more primal functions. So, in closing, let me remind you to enjoy yourself entirely, but to enjoy responsibly. Savor in the sensations from which your red accoutrements collectively abound, the pomp and circumstance of all that is glorious, the paper and rose petals. And so, from behind the most private door of the home, enjoy this, your day, your red paper enhanced Valentine's Day.